In the final round of the Trieste Open, I'm matched against a up-and-coming 16-year-old from Singapore. He plays e4 and we get a Sicilian, but here he decides he doesn't want to go into the open Sicilian and he plays g3. And there's no real advantage for white here. So I was relatively happy to see this, but you'll see how I managed to screw it up in a bit. Queen e2, knight c6, developing knight bd2, and now I play e5 to take space. He goes c3, and potentially here b5 to take even more space could be a good option. I was thinking he could play a4, and now I have to play b4 or take probably b4 to take the space, and that gives him space here. It gives him a nice outpost, but I get more space. So computer says it's kind of worth taking the space. I didn't really want to give the outpost, so instead I chose h6, which is also a very good move. It controls g5, preparing bishop e6, so there's no knight g5. Now he plays a4, so I don't have b5 anymore. And here I should just continue with bishop e6, but I went a6, which is not great. The idea is I want to play rook b8 and b5 at some point, and I'm just preparing it. Knight c4, bishop e6, and he reroutes the knight to e3. He's got potential ideas of coming to d5. And here I played queen d7, improving the queen. But actually, the plan which I should have gone for, and I was planning, is probably d5. I got a bit carried away here. d5 takes, and it's kind of like a reverse King's Indian. And if anything, I'm the one who's slightly better with the extra space. But yeah, here I thought I didn't have to rush with d5. I thought I could play slowly, but my opponent handled this pretty well. Here he goes knight h4. Actually, potentially knight d2 is even better. The point is get the knight out of the way of the f pawn to play f4. Knight h4 is not as good as knight d2 because of d5 again. The point being, after knight d2, d5, this knight is ready to come onto some really nice squares. And actually, I've messed up this queen side with the a3 move. But after knight h4, d5, this knight is no longer going onto a big outpost. So yeah, I should just play d5 here. I saw f4 was coming, and I saw a very interesting plan. But it's just really bad. I played knight a5, which is the second best move. And I was thinking here that this knight might come into b3, or what I really wanted to do was go bishop b3 and grab this pawn, which I've never seen happen before in a normal game. And there's a good reason for that, which is that it's just really slow and your pieces end up in a massive tangle. He continues with the plan with f4, and here I should just play knight b3, take this bishop, and take, and he doesn't have an attack once I get rid of this bishop, and the game goes on. But instead, I take on f4 first, which is correct. Open the bishop, and again I should play knight b3, and I play bishop b3, greedily going for this pawn. And now after f5, the attack is coming. Okay, I try and keep it close with g5. And here after just knight f3, actually, I'm already in big trouble. Because e5's a threat. I can stop e5 rook e8, but then h4. And he's just breaking open my king side. g4, knight reroutes to d2, hitting the bishop, and I can't even take here because of taking on g4, and this is going to be a big problem. This bishop is huge. Instead, he played the second best move, which is knight g4. ignoring this threat because I can't take this because this is going to be checkmate after this comes in. The queen's coming in, the rook's coming in as well. Queen probably goes to g4 as well as h5. But here I do have a way to hold this together, which is to take the knight first and then take on h4. And this looks scary, but this pin actually stops him from playing f6. And he ever takes here, I play f6 myself, and the queen is just in time to defend. He should play a move like c4, cutting off the bishop. And after f6, he can play e5, sacrificing to get the other bishop in. And he maintains an attack here for the piece. But it's very, very dynamic here. It's very interesting, like, because I do have the extra piece. Instead, I grabbed the pawn, and I completely underestimated his attack. He played this part very well. He takes on f6 with check. I have to take, and he comes in with the queen. I have to defend on h6. I don't have time to take this pawn because bishop takes h6 again. It's going to be a checkmate. His pieces are all coming in. Rook f4 is a big plan. So I go king g7, and now knight jumps into g6. I can't take him because of queen takes, and then this endgame is going to be bad. He gets the piece back here. So instead of taking, I jumped in with knight b3, attacking the rook. And here he finds the only move to keep his attack going. Because I give him the option to win the exchange, but after I kind of recapture and trade all of these pieces off, I'm actually fine in this position. Like I've got a pawn for the exchange, and I've got really nice bishops. This bishop is a beast. But he finds a great move here. He finds e5, opening up the bishop. And now if I take him, he goes knight takes e5. Because if bishop takes e5, bishop takes g5, it's going to be deadly. H takes, queen takes, king has to go back, and then he swings he can either swing the rook in, or here actually plays f6 first, and then swings the rook. So here I don't take on e5, I took on g6. He takes with check, king h8. He takes with check. Actually, here potentially even stronger was rook takes a4 first, because I can't take this because this is going to be checkmate. I was planning to take on here, but then after e takes f6, this is completely lost. I'm going to be a piece down. He plays queen takes h6, which is still good, because after queen h7 and he goes into the end game, he takes the bishop. I take on here, and here he's got two choices. He can take either the knight or the bishop. If he takes the knight, I'm perfectly fine, because I take with the bishop, and this bishop's a beast. And I saw a line like, if he takes here, rook b8, my rook goes active. I'm actually better in this ending now with this super active rook. But the correct way to play it is to take this bishop. And there's a big problem with my king here, because this bishop is coming in here. And if he puts something on the H file, that's going to be checkmate. I'm just like half a move short of getting out of this mess. Knight's under attack side, take the pawn, and now rook f3, attacking the knight and threatening rook h3. I jumped to f4 to stop this. And here the move that I thought was just going to end the game that he didn't play is h4. Because I can't take it because of my knight. And if I try and take here first, he takes on g5, and then the knight's gonna be trapped at the end of this, but he just doesn't need to rush, and he's got these huge pawns, and his rook's just double on the h file. Instead, he played rook takes f4 with the idea of putting me in a bind like this, which is also very good, but not as terminal as the other option. And here, this bishop's just so good. Like, my rook has to call him daddy, and my king can't move. I'm just completely bound because king f8, rook h8 is checkmate. He plays rook h6, and now he has a very simple plan of pushing the pawn up. Rook check. My king has to go to f8 to defend the rook and just keep pushing the pawn. Because I can never take it because rook g8 is going to be checkmate. And here was my one opportunity to make it difficult for him. I could have played rook e8 here, which I rejected because bishop e6. So the point is I need to try and activate this rook. Like, this rook and this king is already screwed. They're not going to be able to do anything. But after rook e8, I saw bishop e6, and it just shuts me out. But actually, after here, I have this move, d5. Because if he takes me, I lose the pawn, but at least my rook gets into the game. And this becomes non-trivial now with at least a rook for me to play around with. And I have some drawing chances here. It's still very bad. He maintains like great control, but it's not trivial to win. Instead, I picked this move, but I'm a tempo too short. Because what I wanted to do is a similar idea to activate the rook. I want to get the rook in whilst trading these pawns. But after check, h6, and he just carried out his plan, I'm a move too short. Because here, this is going to be checkmate. So, yeah, so he just plays h4, and here, I'm not in time, so I try and play rook e8 now, but it's too late now. After he plays bishop e6, d5, I'm going to be a tempo short. So instead, I try and double up and defend this rook. But he just pushes, check, pushes, and these guys are just completely stuck. Try to trade these pawns off, but it's no use really. King comes. As long as he keeps one of these pawns, he's gonna win the game. Here he played rook g7, and it's just game over. I played a3 with a last-ditch effort of a stalemate trick, which I was relatively close to actually. He takes, d5, takes, and here if he was controlling, if he had something controlling h7, it would be a draw, because I guess he's got f7, but if it was like this, takes, and he was controlling here, it would be stalemate. But yeah, no, painful loss. But to be fair to my opponent, he played well, and I just messed up that middle game completely. Really tough tournament. I'm obviously not playing at my usual standard, and I need to do a lot more training to get back into form. But I think it was really good to play the tournament because this is how part of me getting into form. I'm going to go away and do more training for the next 2 months before I play my next big tournament. But really, really appreciate your support. If you've watched through all of the games, it's been great to have you with us. And yeah, leave a comment in the comment section. It'd be great to hear from you. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you soon.